Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for your time this evening and coming to us. This is the live webinar series which uh, we, Sustain Leadership, with the partnership of Dubai Quality Group, is running. We will be having a series of different topics which is going to happen every Wednesday. So if you are watching today, mark in your calendar to come back next Wednesday, and we will keep sending you all the updated information and links for the future webinars also. My name is Mohammed Adnan Sohail. I'm Senior Consultant with Sustained Leadership. And with us today, speaker of today is Hanane Benkhallouk. She is the Executive Director of Sustained Leadership. Topic, as clearly we know and we have understood from the topic, back to the new normal, which is a phrase which is coined. I heard it often from Hanane that she says about this thing. Actually, we clearly know that we have started to go back to work. A lot of companies are accepting their employees, and even some companies are accepting their clients to visit them also. So, as the title shows, what we are going to talk, that if our workplace, means your workplace and your workforce, they are ready for this new normal, which is the post-COVID-19 situation or era we are going to face now. Most of the people are back to their office. We know that it's not totally the same workplace which we have left 3, 4, or 6 months before when the pandemic situation was started. So by end of this session, which we are expecting, and Hanane is going to share with us all these key points, that what to expect from this new work environment. And most important thing, what are those changes or adjustment which we need to do in order to again integrate into the new workplace, and how to maintain engagement of our people, our teams at workplace. So I'm leaving it to Hanane, over to you. Welcome to the webinar, and I'm sure that you're gonna give us a lot of interesting things today. Thank you so much for joining everyone once again.
Thank you, Sohail, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to another webinar by Sustained Leadership. Actually, if you noticed, we have changed the time this week. Usually, and for the past 3-4 months since we started the webinars, we used to have them at 3 or 3:30 because we thought everybody's working from home. And this week we said, let's experiment. Actually, we were debating, even with the team at Dubai Quality Group, who I thank for their support and collaboration on sharing knowledge and creating this platform for sharing knowledge. And you were debating what would be the best time, because we're still confused. Some people are still working from home. Some people are in the office. And we thought, okay, we'll just give it a chance. And we try now that most people are working back to office, then they will be back home, and then we'll see how it goes. Actually, this topic, I mean, I was listening to you, Sohail, and you said post-COVID, and I kind of thought, are we really post-COVID, or we're still during COVID? It's just that all of us have seen our routines disrupted. I'm sure everyone is probably tired of hearing this, but it's the reality, and the uncertainty continues. And it's just that we could not keep going the same way. So life has to go on. The economy has to keep flourishing. So we are going back to our places after we had deserted them, working from different places, from home or from different places. And we have left out those workspaces, those routines, and those environments for 3 months. So what we're discussing briefly today is really to reflect on the recent past and also think about the current scenarios of what's happening around as far as work environment and business landscape, identify the turning points, because we definitely had some turning points with everything that has happened, with all the disruption that we have seen, and look at how to reset, because this is exactly what we're doing. We are resetting work environments, we are resetting cultures and the way we work with each other, we are resetting teams. So how can we do that? And this is just a brief discussion, of course, because this is a really broad topic. How can we build that culture of resilience so people can bounce back? And how can we reinforce engagement amongst team, which is, I think, very, very crucial, because I don't think anybody who lived in our era had witnessed something like this, where everyone had to suddenly be working remotely and not seeing their teams for such a long time. So let's just go back and putting things into perspective. Here we were, the start of 2020, nobody has even dreamt or had a nightmare about how things turn up. So we were in the normal, and meetings, networking events, conferences, face-to-face interactions, lunches together, coffee, team building, going out, traveling for business, just the normal. And suddenly everything, we went to the what I call the remote everything. Meetings are happening virtually. We are having learning sessions and discussions and conferences and summits globally, just like what we're having today. So everything started happening between screens rather than between face to face. And then it took us, 3 months? So we were all resisted it in the beginning, and it was a bit a stretch out of our comfort zone. And as they say, it takes about 28 days to build a new habit. So really took us some time, and then suddenly we started getting more comfortable. A lot of people started feeling more comfortable working from home, being close to their kids if they're parents, or just not having to deal with the traffic jams, or not having to deal with, especially for us ladies, what am I going to wear today, or having to be in our high heels the whole day. So the point is, we took time to develop these new habits, and we just started getting comfortable into these new ways of doing things. And suddenly, most companies, most government institutions, and decisions came back that, okay, now we need to go to our work environment as it was. We need to go. We started with 30% capacity. And when those decisions happened, when they were announced around me, family, friends, I started feeling that so many people were anxious. And I heard things like, okay, now I have to shop for my new coffee machine, or I have to, have sanitizer at home, in the office. So all these new ways of how we want to reintegrate in the office made me think, okay, this was not a waiting game. It's not like we were working normally and then suddenly we had everything disrupted. We took our time. We took some like a break from being in the office, and then we're going back and everything's going to be back as we left it. No, not at all. So before moving ahead, let's see what is the turning point. I brought you some facts and figures from some studies and surveys that were conducted globally, and they show a little bit what has happened and how this disruption that happened into the work environments and into the work routines, how did it impact most of the people, or at least the sample that were surveyed that apparently is representative. Okay, so let's look at the summary of the benefits. Whenever I talk to somebody, these are the words that you hear. Now we can work from anywhere, everywhere. There's a life balance. We can spend more time with family. We are saving the time in the commute, so on and so forth. That flexibility of, working from the comfort of your place. So this is what we could summarize, and everybody who's listening could relate to as some of the benefits of that new working remotely that we all had to go through or still have to. Now, let's look at what other people, or the majority of people, or some people that were surveyed say. They look at flexible schedule, came as 32%. 32% people rated the flexibility as the highest benefits from remote working. Working from any location, which again looks the same thing as flexibility. No commute, 21%. I can relate to that, to be honest, and so on and so forth. However, the shocking number, or the really striking number, is that 98% of the people that were surveyed have expressed that they would like to keep working remotely at least some of the time for the rest of their lives. So whoever got a taste of working from home now is finding that it's something so beneficial. Maybe they don't want to be 5 days a week at home, but 98% of the people have expressed interest to be working from home or to continue benefiting from that, maybe 2 days or 3 days a week. Now, let's look at some of the challenges that we all probably could guess. Definitely reduced bonding when you are working remotely. You're not seeing the teams. You're not having your morning coffees together. You're not really having those face-to-face meetings. You're not seeing that body language, because you can communicate through words and across a screen. But as we all know, the body language says it more than the words or the tone of voice. So definitely there is some kind of reduction into that bonding with among the team, to the communication, decreased focus on productivity. And definitely I think we can all relate to that. When you are working from home with so many distractions, it's not the same. And then the risk of having the team members overworked, because everybody's anxious and about losing their job, because there's so much uncertainty, and because these individuals, these teams are working from home, they feel that okay, they don't take breaks, they don't have to leave, so sometimes they tend to be overworked, and these are some of the challenges that were expressed. Now let's look at some numbers of the top struggles of remote workers. Collaboration and communication, less than that. Some feeling of loneliness. The difficulty to unplug after work, because when you work from the office, you shut your laptop and you leave and you have that break commuting. When you reach home, it's a different environment. When you're working from home, you can just continue. And I'm sure many of you are nodding right now that you just don't feel the time. You just keep working at any time on the weekends. So these are, you can see in the screen, these are some of the top challenges or struggles that remote workers have expressed, and I'm sure that all of us can relate to a few of them. Now, what's happening, this is the turning point, and it's very important for us as managers or business leaders or companies to really pay attention to. Now, the remote work, the impact that it had, because everybody has tasted the benefit, it has turned to be an attractive benefit for the talent of the future. Now, look at the numbers. 70% rated the flexibility or the possibility to have a remote work as a key factor for evaluating opportunities. 54%, they said that's more important than working for a prestigious company. Now that's huge. And 64% said when they were asked, how open are you to being remotely onboarded to a new company if provided the right resources? 64%, they said yes, they were open. And 73% strongly agreed that they would be comfortable to have a job without meeting with the team in person. So now there's a whole change of culture. And if we are as a company and we thought, okay, that remote work was just a break, and now let's just bring everybody back. And if we want to attract new talent, that's it. They just have to work in the office. We have to think twice. So how ready are we in our work environment to continue somehow this possibility and this opportunity to work remotely so that we can attract the talent that's out there and look at the talents and what they're thinking about remote work and how attractive it will be. So this was really striking to me because a lot of companies are still working with the conventional way, and many of them have really struggled to let their teams work remotely, and they thought they were just forced to do so. However, the news is, the truth is actually, it's a fact that now this has become an attracting benefit and a motivational feature that every company has to consider, and every HR, the HR manager or whoever is in charge of talent acquisition to keep that in mind. What about the concerns of managers about remote teams? 82%, they are anxious or concerned about reduced employee focus. 75% are worried about the team cohesiveness because there is lack of contact. And 70% are really worried about how we can maintain company culture, how can we maintain everybody aligned where everybody's working from a different place and they're not really seeing each other and they're just communicating through all the technology tools. And also the career implications or the career growth, at 65%, the managers are concerned. So what's next? Now that we really confronted those implications that this disruption that COVID-19 crisis has imposed on work environment, what can we expect? Is it really a reintegration? Are we really going back to office? Or are we exposed to, or are we forced to think about reinventing a new work culture, reinventing a new work environment, because we are going back to a new normal? Those two words that probably we hear maybe 10 times a day, but it's just the reality, actually. So what the future looks like, or the current actually situation, we might see redesigning of workplaces, private cubicles, because of all the precautions and the measures that are imposed by health authorities of maintaining distance. We might see, and I've seen actually clients that I work with that have already started redesigning their workspaces to make sure that they maintain that social distance measure. So now, for the past 10, 15 years, we've been talking about open offices, open doors, having really collaborative spaces. And suddenly we have to maintain the space. Are we going back to silos? How are we going to manage to really maintain that engagement where we have to maintain a physical distance at the same time? So physically, even the physical space that used to be created to really promote that cohesiveness, promote that teamwork and that family bonding, that's going to be really, again, challenged with the new redesign. New habits of maintaining hygiene. I'm just describing how the work environment will be looking like, which is, this is actually a good thing, because now there is more focus on keeping safe work environments, which is becoming part of the culture, which probably will prevent even other sicknesses. Virtual meetings, they will continue to happen, and we know that even if we're going back, we're not completely going back to 100%, not everyone. Plus, now that we got used that it's doable, that even if we have virtual meetings, we still get things done. I think that's going to continue to a certain extent, especially for companies that have branches overseas and they cannot travel yet, or even if travel is eased, they would start reducing that because they feel like, okay, if we have done it for 4 or 5 months, then why do we have to incur the costs and the travel and the trouble? We can just maintain some of the meetings virtually. Let's look at the positive impact of these changes. So the environments now with these hygiene measures, definitely we're going to have safer and cleaner work environments, which will probably reduce the sickness or the contamination, even from other sicknesses like the flu that used to contaminate the whole team or whole departments. So that's a good thing. And culture transformation, as we saw, when there is a crisis, everybody wants to find solutions. So that sense of urgency really kind of disrupts the hierarchy. So there is, because we need to listen to everyone's ideas, we need to engage everyone. And now that we got used to that, so the hierarchies will be a little bit flattened, especially not working from the environment, not feeling that hierarchy and that communication for coming top down. I think the positive, one of the positive impact of COVID is that allowing the hierarchies to flatten. Digitalization, I mean, we knew that was coming. It's not like COVID has really brought digitalization, but probably it has accelerated it. So even small companies or conventional companies that thought they're not really ready or they don't need it, with the requirements that this crisis has imposed, everyone has accelerated digitalization, which probably will impact or will affect also some processes that were streamlined, because now that we are integrating technology, why not integrate it into everything? So these are some of the positive factors or the positive impact that this COVID-19 has really seen, or that companies have seen happen. Now, more employee, now there's more focus on the well-being and health. And so we'll see better and upgraded health packages, insurance documents, more checks on the health of the employees. We could see more possibilities for part-time or the gig economy, if you know the concept of the gig economy, where professionals even at a high level could go and work on demand, on project basis, because now companies are used to working remotely. They wouldn't mind working with a talent that is abroad for a specific project, and also that will allow them to reduce costs, not having to onboard everybody full-time. And at the same time, for talent, they will have more opportunities because they don't have to be physically there now that everybody is used to working remotely. So we will see the rise of and more adaptation of the gig economy. And there will be more emphasis on training and networking, because we need to retain that cohesion. We need to retain the mental well-being. Everybody's anxious. Everybody doesn't know what the future holds. So there will be more focus on training and engaging of employees. So how to cope? How do we cope with this transition from the normal ways to a new normal, a new work environment, and how to reinvent this culture? First, we need to accept that struggles are part of the journey. We cannot expect everyone to just go back, and just because they're going back to their seat, that's it, they're going to resume as they were 4 months ago. It's not a quick return. We've been going through a lot of psychological, psychologically, we've seen adverse times. I mean, everyone is going through this ambiguity, uncertainty, and this caution and anxiety. People are going back to office and they're afraid to be contaminated, and then they go back to their kids, and they have young kids, and just think of that. So we need to be really aware that it's not a quick return. We need to allow time for adjustment. And we need to role model. If we are leaders, we need to role model this vulnerability, that we are also cautious, that we are also anxious. Not just because we are leaders, we are immune to that. And we need to be there. Listen to people, listen to your team. Not everybody is the same. Not everybody wants to go back. And some people are really eager because they didn't have privacy at home, or they really enjoy working alone. They enjoy working from the office. Other people have different circumstances. So don't treat everyone the same way. This is the time to really get closer and take personalized approach at the way you look at your employees. Empower them and enable them to stay agile. Allow them to create their own ways of working so that they can adjust better. And, help them to start seeing opportunities in ambiguity, because ambiguity is here to stay. Create scenarios, because we cannot plan. In uncertain times, we cannot plan. We can't have forecasts anymore, but we can have scenario 1, scenario 2, scenario 3. If this happens, this is what we would do. If that happens, this is what we would do. So we need to create that culture of agility, that we work with different scenarios. How to build engagement and support the reset, because I feel that we are really resetting our work environments and teams. So these are just quick ones. We need to keep up the spirits, whichever way. Maybe set up new mechanism to support those teams with a focus on their mental health and mental well-being. And we need to give managers training on that, because some managers, they don't do it, unconsciously. They could be really unaware of not taking into consideration the vulnerability of their team. So mental well-being, a focus on the mental well-being is crucial, at least in the next 2-3 months, especially that we're not in post-COVID yet. I mean, the cases are still on the rise. I've heard this in the news. Some cities in Spain have ended the confinement or the lockdown, and then they went back to it because the cases have started surging. So we're not really over it, and we have to keep that in mind. Just because measures have eased up does not mean that we are back. Show empathy. It's very, very important. Show empathy. Listen actively. Do emotional check-ins every day. Check on people. How are you doing today? How are you coping? It's very, very important. Understand and offer feedback. Offer feedback immediately. Constructive, if it's constructive feedback. If you see that the productivity is dipping, ask why. What's happening? Are they afraid of something? Are they uncertain about their job? Try to inform them, even if you don't have all the information. You don't know what you don't know, but you need to be clear about what you don't know. You need to be always communicating with the team. Respond and recognize. So communicate promptly and acknowledge. When somebody does an effort, please acknowledge. When somebody seems to be vulnerable or to be having a bad day, also acknowledge that. So it's very important now to be more emotionally intelligent, to be more nurturing, and to show more empathy as a leader. And renew, rewire, and reassure. How can we do that? By setting the direction, communicate your vision, be clear. Where are you going? Give them the information, the transparency, show them that you will do your best to give them the information as it comes, even if you don't know. And establish agreement with them that they know, and at least everybody has to be on the same page. And there comes alignment. Ensure that your goals are set. Whatever the goals are, if you are structuring, let them know. Try to reduce the effect of surprise. Everybody is ready to hear bad news today, but at least they want to feel that you care. They want to feel it's a business decision. They want to feel that you're doing your best to take what is to put their benefit at the center of your decision. And show commitment. Everybody needs to show commitment. Agree to mutually be responsible and to keep each other accountable. So I would just end with the question. Now, are you ready to press the reset button on your work environment? Because it really takes a resetting. We're not going back, as I say, to normal. We need to take into consideration all of these implications, and we need to make sure that we are ready to press this reset for the benefit of everyone and for the benefit of business continuity. Thank you for listening. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. I hope you found it beneficial.
Thank you so much, Hanane, for sharing great insights and giving these tips. Ladies and gentlemen, now the platform is open. If you are having any specific question on which you want to listen from Hanane, please send it to us and we will be happy to answer your questions. You can use the chat section to send your questions.
Or Q&A, absolutely. Questions, comments, if you have any tips to add, or it'd be good to enrich the discussion. I mean, I just picked a few tips, but I'm sure that we have brilliant people in the audience, and it'd be great to share the knowledge from everyone. Okay.
Right. So still, we will be more than happy to answer your question even after today. If you will be having, I'll be happy to share email ID from which you receive from our site, Sustain Leadership's, all the invitation and link of today's webinar, which is consult@sustain-leadership.com. Please feel free to send us all of your questions in case you would like to listen more. Any tips you need from Hanane related to the topic. I believe here are a couple of questions coming up. So Doa Afifi, she's asking how to increase the teamwork via remote work.
Sure.
So how to increase it?
Okay. Yes. Exactly. So even if we are far away, we're not seeing each other, we need to maintain, as I mentioned, the check-ins. Create a space to engage everyone outside of work. Because sometimes when we are working remotely, we get into a call and we talk about work and we finish and we go. So we need to somehow create time, like when we used to meet next to the water cooler. I always tell my clients to create a remote virtual water cooler corner where people can just meet to chat just like you would do at the same time. Be clear when you have the meetings, have the agenda. Be clear on that. Before you start talking about the work, when you have a virtual meeting, just do a check-in. Just ask everyone, how are you feeling today? Do something fun. Acknowledge if there are birthdays. Acknowledge personal achievements. Just really create that space, just like you want in the office, even if it's tough. And the main thing is summarize, acknowledge, and make sure that you continue that communication with them, even if it's remotely, because sometimes we get into the meeting, a conflict happens, a miscommunication happens, and we don't follow up. So it's very, very important to create that personal space, to keep connected, to connect, like I said, for social events, maintaining doing the same thing, just using different tools. There's more.
Sounds good. We have another question, which is the viewer is asking, any suggestion for those in utilities being away from their customers?
Yeah, the customer facing our frontliners. We're just talking this morning about that. It's going to be difficult. But again, you need to. Today we have an array of ways and tools how we can socialize with our customers. So I would say the same way. Now, customers also understand that you cannot be facing them, that you cannot be giving them the same experience. However, you can use social media, you can use phone calls, you can use virtual calls, just like what we're doing now. The thing is, you need to be creative and show them that you are innovating, all that matters, as long as they know that you are coming out of your way or getting out of your way to really maintain that experience and that service, that they can contact you whenever they want. I think that's what matters to customers, just to know that you are there when they need you. Doesn't matter the tool.
Right. Hey, there's another question from Dwai. She's asking how to measure the performance of teams when they're working remotely.
Have a clear deliverables. Make sure that you have clear deliverables, and that you check in with them on a daily basis, regularly. That just because they're away, so create milestones. This is what we do. We create milestones. We use the tools. There are so many tools on the internet that you can use, like task lists, and you can check the progress, and you can check the deliverables and outcomes, set dates, set deadlines, and mainly milestones. Once you put milestones and deliverables, I think it will be clear for everyone to increase that accountability.
Great. We are having a list of questions, so quickly I'll ask another question coming up, and that is about how to spread positivity within team when they are working remotely.
Show them that you care about themselves. I mean, now we have actually there is a mixed feeling about that. Being away from the team, yes, we have lost that touch of seeing each other in the office, but at the same time, I mean, I'm talking to you from home, so it's like you are coming to my house. You might see, a kid coming around or something. So acknowledge that and get really more personal. Probably this has allowed us somehow to be more connected. That's why I said it might sound contradictory, but being in that space of I'm looking at your home, I'm seeing your home, you're welcoming me home when we are working, could really create that space for reconnection. So maintain positivity by showing them interest in their personal life, in who they are, by acknowledging when they do something nice, by asking them every day, how are you feeling today? And by allowing them to label those emotions, because sometimes we want to be so positive that we start rejecting the negative emotions. We're humans. We need to maintain that balance. So allow everyone, including yourself, to label your emotion. And that's why when we do check-in with the team, I just ask everyone, how are you feeling today? And they could say frustrated and happy, feeling really depressed. It's okay. Once you acknowledge that, when you put that pressure on everyone that they have to feel positive, that's not realistic, because we are going through adverse time. And that's the first thing that you need to tell everyone. That's why I said role model vulnerability. If I am a leader and I say, I understand we are in a certain time, I'm really feeling uncertain about where we're going, then they will trust me better, because I cannot be in times like this and wake up every morning and say, it's going to be great, there's no issue, we're doing well. It's going to create some kind of, the credibility will be a little bit tested. So acknowledge emotions no matter what they are. That will help with positivity, even if it sounds contradictory.
That's brilliant. One interesting question just came up is how to remove fear of your employees when you, as a leader, are fearing from uncertain future.
By focusing on what we can control, by teaching them this one equation that I use personally, the outcome of every incident, there is the event or the incident plus the reaction equal outcome. The event or the incident is only 10% of the outcome. The 90% of the outcome is the reaction, the way we choose how to react to things. So again, we have to keep on reinforcing that we don't know what we don't know. We have scenarios. These are the scenarios that could happen. Let's take it, day by day and see what could happen. We can assume, we can build on assumptions only. We don't have all the information. And we need to be able to work with that. This is it. We live in uncertain times, and what we can control is what is in our circle of control. What is not in our circle of control, let's not waste our energy worrying every morning, waking up and worrying about, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if the economy is going to go. I don't know if I'm going to be fired. Do you really find a solution? Another thing is to really allow everyone to do an exercise of what is going well in the day. Sometimes by having that behavior or attitude of being grateful, and just really, it works on the brain. Neuroscience says it, that the brain works in patterns. When you keep focusing on identifying three things or two things or one thing that went well every day, then your brain starts identifying first what is going well, rather than always looking for what is not so well. Because in every day, we have things that go well and things that go not so well. And COVID or not COVID, if you train your brain at looking at what is not going well, then you will continue on having that negative pattern. It's an exercise that you need to develop and help everyone through certain tools and ways to develop that positive mind and positive brain pattern. Thank you, Joe.
Great. Here is a comment from Joe. She's saying all about the session, and she gave feedback. It's important to give regular feedback, but also to listen to what people say in response.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Joe. So good to see you here. It's been a while. Thank you. Thank you for the insights. Absolutely.
Probably the last question of this evening we're going to pick, and it's again from Dua, and she's asking how to prevent resistance of digitization. Probably she wants to say the digital transformation.
Ask everyone, what if we don't? This is every time I manage change, I ask the people, what if we don't change? And once you answer that question, trust me, you flip that, there's a mindset or a shift, a paradigm shift, that they start really fearing the results of if we don't change. So, and first of all, don't resist resistance. Whenever there is a change, this is something I always say. First thing, we humans are wired to resist. Again, neuroscience. I studied neuroscience, and I know that humans are wired to resist change because we don't like to be out of our comfort zone. So first thing, don't resist resistance. Manage it, and try to show them the impact if we don't change, rather than trying to. Sometimes it works. Rather than trying to sell them the benefits of this digitization or digitalization or digital transformation, show them or ask them that question: what would happen if we don't change? And let them compare and benchmark what's happening around us, how it will affect their existence, their very existence, their very survival as a business or as an employee or as a role or as a department even.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this evening. I'm 100% sure this is a super, super important topic. And if we will keep on talking, maybe we will need probably a couple of more hours to discuss this thing. But thank you so much, Hanane, also for your time. For everyone who is watching this, the recording of this session will be available on our YouTube channel in next couple of hours. So Sustained Leadership is the name of channel. Feel free, you can go back to YouTube. You can have a look on it in case you missed anything, or if you want to share it with your friends or with your colleagues. We will be happy to see you next Wednesday with another new topic, which is going to be super helpful for you at your workplace. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a lovely evening. And thank you, Hanane. Take care.
See you next week with another guest. And thank you so much. Thank you, Dua. Thank you, Dubai Quality Group. And thank you for all who asked the questions. And see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.